right? There are proofs that not there are proofs that not one there are proofs that not one president since founding was let realized free speech was let realized with branches not breached in relationship to what all modern nations fell to, interscience, natures of organized crime. For example, in relationship to summary convictions, with facts treatments, and with American history, and with all that's connected to, actively, and how, and with motivations for lies and for cover up, for needs to cover up lie progressions in relationship to federal investigations forced by international organized crime. American history begins with international organized crime conversation in relationship to the nature of the extortion of our founders and the process they began, not letting it known who forced everyone to have to take counter positions in relationship to already entrenched terror methods. For example, we've only been realized to experience incomplete opinion natures and self-defeating opinion natures with roles, with lies and physical delusions, only let entertained to sensibilities and to psychology in relationship to treatments of the facts, in relationship to human, American and human legal impositions and with standards and with what's claimed free business, what's that's not by accident. See, each nation fell to what is claimed peace, only let trained referred to as peace in relationship to wars and in relationship to threats with progressions of each nation having been forced to original shared markets positions, shared terror policing positions. Because we have not had, and how we have not had those terror policing positions addressed has to do with the hurt nature progressions to the crime statistics and with proofs of how lies and delusions that are readily observable and actively how they're being defended. In other words, there are proofs that we have natures, directors of our legal nature, of our branches, and of our foreign positions forced with nations sharing common pseudo-education with convictions regarding ancient history and modern history. Even America has movements with relationship to us not having the phenomena of having only breached summary convictions of American history, not a standardized American history, delusions and terror justifications and insidiousness narratives with business positions in relationship to this and in relationship to Native American rights and human rights impositions on people who are still stuck in colonial pathology with human value nature systems and standards. You know, we need one books, one set. That's standard. See, these ways hold lies. Arise. It's time to be. So I'm not knocking one president. In other words, it's just phenomenon that I could explain this and we can understand it. But to understand, you have to see what's actively hiding this with interbranch roles to tell lies in relationship to already acted on interbranch database lies told. America was forced. Colonization was a terror database relationship with terror laws, and the motivations for them need to be understood. So the natures of organized crime with it need to be understood. So we're going to use terms like criminal enterprise. Every criminal enterprise is caused negative value nature progressions, criminal insidiousness nature, which is it causes our species to be criminal insidiousness nature, internation leveraged organized crime, like 9/11. That was each person who died in that because it was facilitated by internation and by uncharged but recorded proofs of interstate crime, predicate acts, such as mail fraud stuff and forging of names and pretending witnesses that were part of it, and such as, for example, with the pathology, with how they have the victims moving to sue Saudi Arabia. You know, these are how foreign legal natures, in relationship to what has them mixed, has them with breaching functions to their own nations, maintaining that with ours, our directors and our legal natures having roles with that, with our stewardships, defending and propagating an imperfect world as mass as roles with mass serial killer pathology and justifications, her conviction natures, delusions, lies, and that's what made slavery and colonization terror laws that we're not let to understand, because we have forced first only let's standardize, not just with high school but college too, because they have the history isolated. You know, the sciences together to narratives with sensibilities to the maintenance of psychological delusions and of lies in relationship to how this is with them, with the nature of the courts, and with a method that has them pretending they can't talk about things because of medical information, but with that being with and where how our nation's legal natures were only let realized. For example, since before founding and actively in relationship to it. For example, 1860 to 1865 was and that's what I mentioned in the last video with 1859, 1 year before the Civil War, 1860 to 1865. 1859 was when Charles Darwin's theory came. Now, this is also with criminal insidiousness narratives in relationship to what was and is inter science. For example, I heard classmates of, I believe it was Oxford in England, and they were debating. You know, this is the way they're only let nations are only let realized to experience incomplete legal nature opinions justified, facts, finite facts obfuscated with this. For example, still in relationship to Oz with Darwin's theory, we know evolution. We don't know the extent of it. We know evolution is the cause of existence. That's sanity. But then they attach it to debates with the church in relationship to interscience roles with criminal industry positions through what international agreements, legal nature agreements, forced originally compromised intellectually terror-wise. They only let realize they're the ones that control the industries of religion, campuses. Campus Marcia is criminally re-engineered. So we have opinionators that are reliant upon expert opinions that are only letting our campuses, only letting human nature entertain predatory facts, opinion natures. And to defend that, they have justifications of ranking, of people's rank with sensibilities. They need to tell the same lies. You know, people need to get away with telling the same lies the same way. And this is also with how psychology is juxtaposed with the sciences, and how legal natures, agreements, geopolitical campus, in relationship to uncharged natures of organized crime that were original and are standing. The predicate acts are known to be charged, but were never charged. Because to understand it takes the nature of relationship, it takes language to explain how our legal natures were only let realized to breach campuses. Not free speech. And worse, forced political terror speech. Free speech is not the right to make sound, which is still that forced only let, per offensive interbranch affected needs to tell lies to block finite truths with regular people. And in relationship to how our states are maintained, our legal nature agencies are maintained to motivations to have to keep our presidents inherited only let realized to physical lies and delusions forced with terror when nature's relationship to the nature of the executive branch they inherit breached, and self-defending investing to self-defend that in relationship to jobs where there's never been enough, and not for the right, not by accident, and not by accident with the jobs denaturing the human to human the actual value nature system. The whole landscape was denatured to force us to share terror police that had these terror laws, like slavery. And it needs to be explained, and people know this, because we use correlation. But correlation is sabotage per physical lies and delusions, forced only let accepted per relations and per methods to induce needs for our states and federal stewards to have to tell lies that they have to go then progressively defend in relationship to natures of organized crime that they don't understand. In other words, that's why we have problems with the Civil War, 1860 to 1865. Only 100 years, someone who was 109 years old was born in 1865. They died in 1965. See how fast time goes by. And that evil, with those colonizations laws, just because our founders, in other words, George Washington was first English general, and he went just in retreat. They were fighting amongst themselves because England was extorted in relationship to a nature of organized crime that already had the geopolitical campuses. So what's that mean? It means it has all the legal natures of their nations. It has everybody defending tactical pseudo-education into science to the maintenance of itself, to the maintenance of the same criminal insidiousness narratives. And that's in relationship to them being wrongdoers, modern nations, before their founding. And defending that, they become, just standardized criminal enterprise nations. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a police form. I'm not a criminal. There are proofs. This is why religions are talking about, are with cipher, about they had to leave cipher because human conviction natures with law. If they put it into physical terms, we have to. Metaphysics is embodied distinctly from and with the body, each one only semi-positive, which is negative, but together they share one positive identity. Because all space shares one positive identity, value A, and it's coming through temporary value nature, space. And it's making forever nature of increasing value, of progressive value. So it's three ways of value. It's unchanging value A, in temporary value nature. All that can be that is longing to it, and all that cannot be that is longed away from it. That's value all. And that is progressive value here, and we're not let here, just progressive value somewhere else. With negative value nature made here forced to be a relationship, a progressive relationship to other positive value nature identities progression somewhere else. There is one positive value nature progression. So we have nations that were tricked, inherited with natures of organized crime that are inter-science, to the defense of pseudo-identities in relationship to terrorists because they're terrorist states, so they can be manipulated into wars by what has the minds of our most sophisticated legal natures and agencies as marionettes, because that's the only way they were let realized. In relationship to only let realized, trained self-defense of logic as hurt conviction natures, as evidence fabrication natures to all areas. For example, in relationship to the pilgrims, and in relationship to the nature of organized crime, with colonization's terror laws, and with that denied insidiously. For example, pretending people came over here for incomplete and insidiously needed, told wrong categorically, lies and delusions. The colonization was about a breaching method that was shared internation by internation legal natures, because it was shared internation by geopolitical science and criminal internation science coalitions that criminally re-engineered education to enable this through time. Everyone blaming it on other lies and delusions. So we never have means to understand how our legal natures have motivations to tell lies in relationship to things like 9/11, in relationship to things like threats on women and abuses of children that are active. And they use the excuse to pretend forced fake passions offensively with the branches to block and hurt and destroy people's minds and health and ability to even make a complaint on time in relationship to offensive lie progressions. An interbranch needs to to slander people and put them in jail and use the jails as weapons. In relationship to their wrongdoers, in relationship to influences on them they don't understand, because of the way science is involved with only letting our branches train realized, treating facts and logic. It's very, very, very serious not to be able to explain the organized crime that use terror laws in relationship to people from all cities, all kinds of millions and millions of people who are in what is called poverty with physical delusions too, not letting it have what Native Americans need too. Tactically denatured, landscape theater, and related pseudocides. They're trying to compare the denatured landscape just because it's more natural than totally denatured and obliviated nature with cities, with streams all put underground. Not even food markets where there is nothing can grow either. This is not natural. There's no water underground. We have all these polluted waters. Fresh water, come clean. Don't even have to take care of it. You have all free fish. You have the Native Americans. They must have realized that there are three relationships that humanity can have with the beaver. There are two negative, even if when the two are for themselves, the couple, which we have to. Independence is the most important thing, not defended. In relationship to a terror method that was with colonization's laws, not for isolated to insulate issues by insulating people, by insulating treatments. So then we have to explain legal nature lies and incompetence. In other words, with poverty. We lost the war on poverty. Told us to fight. So we need revolution. We must understand the forced terror on our founders. We must understand the forced terror on the pilgrims first. We must understand the forced terror on the kings and queens first. We must understand forced terror on the sciences first. And that is what only let legal natures rolls with what they were already extorted to. And as um, I wanted I want us to say to help, and we should do a training exercise with North Korea. Help them. They want to help make new standards for humanity, where they're in the negative value nature progressions, where they have a flood, everything got devastated. Why do we have to be stuck to colonization's infrastructural standards when they need to have cars? You know, this is not about, note though, this will hurt us with the facts treatments if we try to defend communism or capitalism. Those aren't finite facts, and they're used for fake sides with the natures of organized crime that we're talking about here. With slavery, with colonizations, terror law, with witch trials, with laws against people even speaking about building infrastructure outside of terror monitored database conversations, internation ones. These are breaching methods to have fake types forced, made, self-defended, retreat nature, reaction natures. This is with our schools. This is with our campuses and criminally re-engineered since ancient times, the old progression.